Hello and welcome to Life is Feudal, Forest Village. Picking up from the last episode, I've gone through like another year, and that's just to make sure I've got a reasonable number of people in the workforce. I mean, I've upped the number of people working in the bakeries permanently for now, but rather than just keep waiting for maybe like another year, I thought I could really do with start, making some more progress on these fish farms over here, because we're into the spring. We've got about 268 fish in here. Now, if you compare that to over here, yeah, so we've got about roughly 1,200 or so just between those two barns. So I could really do with getting these fish farms built, because if I can do that before we get to the next winter, it means we'll have a much bigger reserve of fish over in this area. We should then start to see things like the stocks of other foods going up much more in this area, because I mean, I've mentioned it before, from what I understand now, the key foods are now fish, fruit and vegetables. All the rest just make up for anything that's missing from those three, because what the people are after basically are vitamins, and they'll get all of them from those three types of food. So that's going to be my priority now. And there is a risk, unfortunately, that if I suddenly put in like some orders to start chopping down these trees, because these fish farms here, they need 150 logs each, I run the risk of a load of people coming over from Village 1, because we don't have that many free labourers, and as we've seen in a little test I ran, just because you've got labourers, it doesn't necessarily mean labourers are going to do the work. There was a time where I was chopping trees down in this area. I chopped down 3 trees, and even all the labourers had nothing better to do. 2 farmers actually came out to do 2 of the trees. Only 1 labourer came and did 1 tree. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to buy the logs over the market. And I'm just having a look. I mean, it's almost a 1-to-1 trade, which isn't actually all that bad. What I've done for this stable, because this caravan stable normally shares its logs between that warehouse there and that one there. That's just to make sure each little sector gets its fair share of logs for chopping up for the by the what are these, the sawmills, the people who work in the sawmills, lumberjacks. So yeah, I've disabled that order, because the plan is to just go and buy a lot of logs, get them dumped into this little warehouse down here, and then we can start focusing people to actually build these fish farms, because you don't need that many resources. So I'm not too concerned about that. We've got plenty of clay, plenty of iron, so it's really just the logs that we're short on. But another thing I want to then focus on, I mean, I've got big problems over here with the oats. Even though we get potentially 1,800 oats in this one field, it gets towards the the end of the harvest season, and there's still something like 1,000 oats still in this field. It's just horrific. It's really, really bad. I mean, if we go around the people, they're pretty much miserable. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're not exactly enthusiastic. She's happy. I mean, I wouldn't blame her. I mean, she's just a kid. She doesn't know what's going on in the world, so she's quite fortunate to be happy. But then you've got the actual workers. They're just all miserable. Now, if you contrast that with the people over here, I mean, there's one who's, okay, not too chuffed. Very happy. Well, you would be. You're the actual tavern. I mean, you'll get plenty of beer on tap, I bet. Somebody else who's really happy. So that's what we don't get over here. Partly I think it's because I've got hostels over here, and they don't contribute anything towards happiness. But we're also quite short on taverns. We've just got the one tavern around here. If I can find it, it's that one there. And we've got all these people, so I think what I'm going to do is, once we've got those fish farms built, I'm going to turn my attention to getting this tavern over here built. So that means getting 2 fields up, a barn and a warehouse, plus the tavern itself. Along with the actual little wells there to protect from the actual lightning strikes, as well as to provide the taverner with water. Hopefully that'll start to cheer more people up, and they'll be more productive. Because what I really need to do is get this building up, though. That means these people who work here they'll be closer to where they live. They won't have to travel so far. And also, if I can get a barn built here as well, then it means they won't have so far to go to, to take their produce to the barn, and they'll be able to empty this place a little quicker. But we have to do it all in steps, really. And first thing to do then is to get started with these fish farms. Well, we've managed to get all of these built. We're into the fall. I actually ended up speeding it up by basically getting, enough builders to do all of that in one go. They were just sitting around, basically, the folks, until they started actually preparing the ground. So I thought, well, I'll just assign like lots and lots of people to builders, and then that's really speeded things up. So now that we've done that, I mean, I'm actually quite pleased. We're getting towards the end of the fall, and yet somehow I've managed to get this far without any buildings being set on fire, which is amazing. I mean, sometimes I get buildings just set on fire spontaneously in the winter, but usually the fall tends to be like, when I get a lot of fires breaking out around. So yeah, that makes a change. But because of that, it's also reminded me I really need some more wells. I'm just asking for trouble if I don't build any, so I'm going to set one up over here. I think I'll put one over here as well, just to play it safe. I'll leave them to get on with that, but what I want to do is get on with building this tavern. I mean, it's a case of either that or getting this sort of stuff done, getting the actual house built and the barn built. But I mean, look at the requirements for this place. I mean, it's 650 wood just to build a hostel. Now I'm going to have to upgrade that, so you're looking at about roughly another 900, I think, to go on top of that. So it's pretty expensive. I suppose we could do the castle barn. I mean, that's not too expensive. It would mean these people have got less distance to travel, so that's a possible. But I'm just looking at the barn. I mean, that needs 450. Sorry, the tavern there needs 450. The barn there needs 320. Pretty easy for the field. So I think what I'm going to do, I mean, I'm taking a bit of a gamble. I'm going to have to disable these pretty quickly, because a lot of people will probably come over from Village 1 to help out. So I don't really mind getting the actual field started. We've got... Wow, we're down to 156 wood there. 900 logs still to come. So I think what I might do is I'm going to take a bit of a gamble and get them to do these parts first. And then probably next year we'll actually start focusing on the actual tavern. So I'll get on with that and I'll bring you back once we're done. Well, we've managed to get our fields and barn built. We did actually take a bit of a hit on the population over the winter time, though. I think that was in part because I forgot to unpause the order for the logs to get them out of the market, and nothing was going on. Then when I suddenly realised and opened that up, everybody started piling in during the winter to get this built. So yeah, we took quite a lot of hits there, but it was also because I've got people coming out of the fields and going into the actual fish farms, and this time round people must have been swapping around. So I think people from like Village 1, for instance, were coming over to do the fish farms in Village 2. I'm just assuming, because there was quite a lot of people died of, there's quite a lot of fish farmers died of starvation. So the next thing to do then is I really want to get this tavern going, because that should help us. Hopefully it'll cheer people up a bit more, and then they'll become a bit more productive. There's just not enough, alcohol being produced basically in this one over here. I knew I'd find it eventually. So we're going to get that one built, but we're short on iron ore. It needs 450 wood, so we can just about scrape on that one. Plenty of stone. We've got just enough ore to get clay to get through that, but we're short on ore. So I'm going to buy some ore. Reasonable sort of trade there. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to get myself some more logs as well, because there'll be quite a few of those will get used up by the lumberjacks. And then I'll get them started on that. Now, I'll have to double check. Do we have a... Right, so I'll wait until they get... Well, actually, I can take that one for oats out now. We'll put an instruction in to get the ore out of here. Tell them to put it in there instead. So once they start transferring things over, then people can start using it. I mean, it's a bit of a gamble because there's quite a lot of resources people are going to have to gather from the from the warehouse to bring over here. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we get people from village number. Yeah, look at all these people rushing across from village number 1. So yeah, so chances are we could lose a few more people to starvation. That's why I've reduced the number of people in the bakeries. We've only got about 13. There's only 25 teenagers in the pipeline. I don't know why, but for some strange reason they decide to move during. Oh, look at that! Somebody's hungry already.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a labourer. Where do you live? Yeah, you're a labourer that lives in village 1. Just my luck. But yeah, for whatever reason, I think the teenagers just also decide that when they're going to move during the winter time. So they end up dying of hypothermia. I don't think they've like that because the teenagers maybe they don't actually go for clothing or something. I don't know, but it just seems quite a common theme for me. But let's see. So yeah, we'll wait for this tavern to get built. I haven't put anybody into the fields yet. Because I expect this is going to take quite a while to build. We need 5 builders, so I may as well allocate them. So I'm just going to leave them to get on with this. And then once it's ready, I'll bring you back. Well, we've managed to build a tavern. I actually thought it would take a bit longer than that, but we took quite a hit on that one, I must admit. I've had to pull people out of the mines, I had to pull people out of the bakeries. So kind of like, yeah, didn't go exactly to plan, but I mean, eventually managed to get it up and running. Now, obviously we don't have any fields yet, so it's going to be next year before we get our crops up and before we can get this tavern going. So what I'm going to do, while we've still got a bit of time, is get these wells going. I mean, we're really at our limit here for the number of free labourers, so I really need to get the population back up again. I mean, we're up to summer, so I'll just have to see how it goes, but I might have to start pulling people back out of the bakeries. Probably if it really gets bad, I'll start pulling people out of the actual the weavers' shops, because we've got plenty of clothes at the moment. I mean, this one weaver up here is actually doing quite well. That's why I've got this one on pause, because it's about 115 clothes just sitting over here at the moment, so they're doing quite well, I must admit. Actually, that's a thought. 2.3 minutes, yeah. We could always pause off. I mean, there is a warning about a shortage of tools, but we've got quite a few tools around anyway. We're actually hitting the peak. So we could always pause people out from, making actual, making tools. There's another 2. So I've got about 7 people in, potentially. Getting on for maybe 12. And I don't think it would cause that much of an issue over like a year. We've got about 23 teenagers growing up who'll be joining the system, or at least the workforce I should say, so we'll just have to see how we do this winter. So the plan is I'm just going to basically ride it out, get them to build these 2 wells, ride it out over the winter. We'll get our fields up and running. I may as well start the tavern, there's no harm. I mean, if they're particularly inclined, they might wander all the way over here, because there's plenty of grain over here that you can get. Oats I'm a bit bothered by, because I mean, we're into the summer and we've still got quite a lot of oats in the field at the moment. Just having a look and see if there's anybody around. So where do you work? Oh, you live over there. I actually wanted to know where you worked. Hang on, where were you? You were on the road there, weren't you? So you work there. So what are you actually doing? Oh, see, they're seeding the plants and it's summer. So we really need to do something about them. I mean, hopefully the tavern over here will help, cheer them up a bit more. But I think we'll see how the population's doing next year. If it's not too bad, because I mean, actually that one there, they're dumping. I need to block that off. We only want grain and oats in here, because otherwise it's things are going to get out of whack. I don't want them or them. Yeah, right, okay. Because basically I don't want people bringing food over here that should really be in the barns over here. So yeah, so we'll see how the population does. If it's okay, I'm gonna weigh it up between either the barn there, which would benefit the chickens as well as the actual oats, or the house, because I mean this hostel is probably going to take me like 2 years to build, whereas I can get that barn up and running in the space of a year. So I think I'll probably target the barn next year. Yeah. Okay, so let's ride this out, trying to get our population back, and then we'll start improving this area over here. See you shortly. Well, we're into the next spring. The population hasn't come back as much as I was hoping, and it's a case of I really need a lot of people to be able to pull off you know, some more builds. I think what I want to do, to be honest, actually, the more I've had to think about it, I really want to get this this place here, this hostel here, built. That's more important, because it means these people at the moment, I think they're living down here. Let's have a look. There's three herdsmen living. You're over there, so you live. Yeah, they live all the way down here. So every time they need to get something to eat, for the herdsmen themselves, I mean, when it hit winter time, they've got to go all the way over here to get warm. So yeah, it's going to take 2 years to build this place, but that's really got to be my priority. But when you look at the amount of resources that I need, it's gonna end up with a lot of people coming over here, and I just don't have enough people to risk it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how things go throughout the year, because we've now got 35 teenagers in the system ready to start, you know, join the workforce. But I think what I'll at least do is I'll open up these 2 fields. May as well get them going. So I'll add 2 more people into there. I'll unpause the tavern. If I can find it again. There. We'll unpause the tavern. So that only leaves us with 4 people. I mean, I've got 3 people working in the iron mines at the moment, but hopefully we'll be getting more teenagers growing up and joining the workforce. Because I mean we're doing okay on meat, on fish now, because we've got well over 1,000 fish sitting in this barn now. So I mean, I think it's about literally when you get to the end of each year, I mean, you're looking at about like 100 fish in each of these fish farms, which is pretty good. I don't know why that doesn't show like a pause sign for some strange reason. Yeah, that's a bit odd. But yeah, I think I'm just going to let this play out. We'll see how this goes. I mean, they're going to start basically stealing oats, so I might have to keep buying some more oats through the actual market. I've only got like 200 at the moment, which is it's a bit slim at the moment, because this has got to be able to feed all these chickens. I mean, it took till practically summertime for these to get this entire field planted, and then it was a case of that's just getting nuts. So I actually had them starting to harvest the place straight away, just to try to get a reasonable amount of oats out of it. So yeah, I think the house, the hostel over here is a bit more important, because I mean, you think about it, there's not that far to go to that barn, so going to that barn's not. I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference. So yeah, that's going to be the priority, but we're just going to have to see how we do in terms of population. Well, I didn't get much done during the last year. I've been watching the population, you know, recovering, which is good. I mean, it's allowed me to put more people back into the mines. I've actually put more people back into the orchards. I was on 17 before, and I've now got an extra 8 people in, just because the amount of fruit was falling. So there was some orchards over in Village 1 that were closed, and I've reopened those to deliberately try to get you know, more fruit. So at the moment we've still got one orchard over there on pause, so I'm just going to leave that there for now. But I mean, we're into the spring of year 29/7, and we've got tons of fish now, which is good. I mean, I was definitely pleased with this field here. I mean, since we've introduced this tavern, it's the first time I've seen this field. It almost completely emptied. I mean, we got to the summer, and I just told them just harvest it. I think it was like 1600 of about 1800, so I just told them to harvest it. And we ended up with plenty of oats in this barn here. We've still got 605 oats left in this barn, which is a lot better than we were doing last, well, the previous year, I should say. So yeah, I'm really pleased. I think that was a good call, that bringing that tavern in. It's definitely helped. So the next thing to focus on really is the tavern here. Now I've put quite a few people into the mines here. We've still got 5 people in the bakeries, but we've now got 19 people available as labourers. So I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here, and I'm going to get them to start delivering to this actual hostel here. Now, because I've got the mines running, we've got enough resources there. One thing I've noticed actually is, wow, we are really short on hay. That is bad. I've only just noticed that. 430 out between the 3 warehouses. We're down to only 438. I mean, that's bad. I'm gonna have to. Looks like I'm gonna have to reopen one of these farms here, or otherwise I'm gonna have to buy some hay over the market. But yeah, the only thing I'd say we're missing for this hostel at the moment though is logs. So we need 650. So yeah, we don't have that much. So let's see what we can buy, because it's almost 1-to-1 with milk. So if I say get me 800 logs, I'm going to need something like 900 for the next upgrade, because that takes a lot more logs. So I'm going to get them to buy 800 logs. So I'll get them to do that. And we've already got the caravanner there is going to then transfer them out. So I'm going to take a bit of the gamble, as I say. We're going to unpause that. I want 5 builders straight away. So it's just going to be a case of waiting for everybody to deliver things to here. So we've pretty much got everything we need. We've just got to wait for all these logs to get taken out of the market. 420 something. I mean, they might all just get gobbled up by the blooming the lumberjacks. I might have to buy some more at this rate. We'll see. But yeah, the plan is this year we should, in theory, be able to get this hostel here built. But I want to max it out. I want to be able to take it to maximum, you know, population size. I think it goes from about 20 to 22. I think it is. Let's see. So just having a look. That takes about 18 residents. So we go from about 18 to potentially 22 then. So it's for the amount that it costs you. It seems pretty expensive, to be honest. But I'd rather have, you know, too many places than not enough. So I'm just going to let them just, you know, have at it and just start delivering as much as they can, and we'll see how we do. We've got plenty of people in the mines, so worst case I can start pulling people out of there. So yeah, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and then once we've got that part built, I'll bring you back. Well, we're into the early fall, and we've managed to get this hostel over here built. I've paused it off now for the moment because we're going to need a lot of resources. Because we had the miners going, it looks like we've got enough except the logs. So I'll have to buy those logs through the market. It's too risky to do it now because we lost a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people. We had we We had 10 people in the mines, 5 people in the bakeries. That's 15 people have died since since we just built this hostel. I mean, it's just nuts. Basically, it's a case of it's pretty much luck of the draw, really. If somebody comes all the way from Village 1 to here, and they start to get hungry on the way, they're going to be committed to delivering those resources, so they'll never get back home in time to be able to get anything to eat. On the other hand, if they come across and then they start to get hungry on the way back home, yeah, there's a better chance. But the trouble is, when you've got so many resources to deliver, I suspect they're going to be committed and staying here for quite a while, so it increases the risk, that you're going to lose a lot more people. So what I'm doing basically at the moment is I'm just going to play this year out, see how we do. We don't have that many teenagers. We've got a lot of children coming through the system, so it looks like I'm going to have to wait quite a while before the population starts to catch back up again. I mean, at least I don't have to put anybody back into the mines for now. We've got enough resources to cover what we need. I can buy the logs over the market, but because I had to start pulling people out of here, pulling people out of the bakery. It got to the point where I was starting to consider pulling people out of the actual the tailors, out of the weaver shops, just to be on the safe side. But fortunately, I didn't have to do that. I could actually reduce the number of builders for now, to be honest. But I really want a much bigger number here. Okay, that's good. That building there was just on fire, so I'm just keeping an eye on it. So it's going to take a while before we get our population back up. Once it is, I'll then commit people to start to upgrade this building here, and then we should start to see this area over here start to improve again. So once we're ready to get on with that building, I'll bring you back. Well, it's taken a bit longer than I anticipated. I was hoping to get this hostel ready to get built last year, but I've had to wait another year just because the population just hasn't been rising enough. I mean, I'm at the point where we've got 28 spare labourers, so I'm willing to risk it at that level, because I know when we actually built this hostel, we lost about 15 people overall. I mean, obviously people were dying of old age, people were dying of starvation, probably been dying of hypothermia at some point over that period of time. But then obviously teenagers will have been growing up as well. So cumulative amount was, we lost 15 people getting this hostel built. Now we need a lot more resources to upgrade it from, a capacity of 18 to 22. So I fully expect to lose even more people. So it's definitely a gamble here. So we've got enough stone, iron and clay. I've ordered the logs, and I've actually got the caravaner. They're actually sending the logs up to here, so it's actually a lot closer to where this place is going to be. Another thing I've actually been doing, what I did last year, I actually started building these little statues, because you get like a happiness bonus when you build these. It says there you get increases villagers' mood if they're living houses within the building's radius. So you can see that's just about within that zone there. So I've been spreading these around where I've got the hostels basically, just to see if that can boost people's mood. I mean, if we go around and have a look, people do seem to be a bit more cheerful, I must admit, than probably the last time I was going around and checking them. So hopefully that'll boost production, because the big thing that's got me concerned now is food production. It's definitely a lot lower. For whatever reason, these farmers that just don't empty the fields at all. I mean, if we go around like the barn over here, we've only got about like 258 fruit in here. And there's hardly any vegetables at all. I mean, this is where the vegetables are actually getting made, or grown, I should say. Yeah, we just don't have enough. I mean, maybe it's just a case of I've just completely under-spec'd it and just didn't anticipate we need a lot more food. But yeah, that hasn't been doing so well. I mean, we do have a warning as well about low food reserves. And then that could be because we've got just so many teenagers and children. I mean, it might improve as we go by. We're down to only 56,000 food in total, and yet we've, you know, because we've built all of these fish farms, we're producing a lot more fish. So it's, yeah, it's a bit puzzling, I must admit. But anyway, we're going to take a bit of a gamble here. I'm going to unpause this this hostel here, and then everybody's just going to come piling along and start to build it. And then the $64 million question is, yeah, how many people are we going to lose? See you shortly. Oh, that was a, you know, nail-biting session that was. I mean, I don't know how they pulled it off, but yeah, that was a... I think that was just sheer luck, that was, to be honest. I mean, we were actually down to only one free labourer. At one point, there was... people were just starving. I mean, I was looking and we had, like, at points it was like, you know, 27 people starving and, like, you know, 5 or 6 people, you know, free labourers. It was just getting crazy. I just don't know how the game pulled it off, but for whatever reason it did. And it actually got to the point where I think it was just a case of, like, a lot of teenagers just happened to grow up and, you know, got into the workforce. So that was a real relief. I thought I was going to have to start pulling people out of jobs to sort of like get that finished. But once they'd actually delivered all of the resources, there was only one person left in the labour force, only one builder. So I pulled 4 people out of the actual tailors' workshops, just so I could have 5 people to actually focus on getting that built, because that's the maximum number of builders you can put in there. So we're getting to late fall, and yeah, they've managed to pull it off. So, phew. So the good thing is that should make this area a lot more efficient. Because I mean, before I was getting, you know, like a farmer here, for instance, they'd come all the way over to this building to get something to eat, then go all the way back. They might come all the way over here to get something to get some food, bring it all the way over to this hostel here. To then, you know, put it in there for other people. They'll be doing the same for fuel. When it was just getting crazy. So now that they actually live closer to where they work, hopefully that should pick up a bit and make things a lot better. I mean, it is interesting because I mean we're into late fall, and they still haven't even got like half the field cleared out, which is a bit concerning because it's down to like 3 degrees. So it just shows you it's yeah, it definitely, you know, definitely needs improving that. So I think the next thing to focus on is probably that barn there, because then they've got less distance. I mean, it's not too far, you know, going over to there as opposed to over there. But hopefully that should make things a lot better as well. But I don't want to risk that now. I mean, we've managed to get back up to 10 free people in the labour force. I've actually put 2 people into working in the stone mine because we're really short on stone, and we're going to need like 200 just to make that barn. I've put a little statue down there, so that'll cheer those people up. That needs another 120. And I've just been going around little areas just looking for other places where I could try to improve things. So like over here, for instance, I don't know why, but I had 3 people working in that fishing lodge. Now normally I only have 2. That's to just to make sure that they don't deplete the area. Yeah, there's still plenty of fish around. So I've dropped 1 person from there, but there's, I think we've got, we now do have 4 fishermen, you know, living in this little shack. I mean, at one point it was actually 3 fishermen over here, plus the gardener from here, and then I think one of the fishermen was living all the way down here. So the plan is I'm going to get this little house here built. Without upgrading, that can house 5 people, and then what I'll do is I'll just destroy that, because I'd rather have just 1 building than 2 small shacks, because I mean a shack doesn't take much resources to build, but I mean a small house doesn't really need that much either. And the good thing about it is that it means they'll only have to deliver, you know, food to that one building there, as opposed to having 2 separate buildings. And it's something I need to think about down here as well, because I've got 2 shacks down here. So that means they're taking fuel here to both, they're having to heat both houses, they're having to supply food to both houses, so that's not really efficient. Now that was these two were intended for these people here, here and here. So that's 5 people. But interestingly enough, there's actually 8 people who have managed to plonk themselves here, including 2 children. So I might be tempted to actually build another little house here and then get that upgraded. I think that might be better. Now the only drawback is it's saying I can't build there. I'm going to have to get them to do a bit of terraforming. Yeah, we'll have to do a bit of terraforming because it's not flat over there. But that'll be better, having that one building there. It'll be better than having those 2. In fact, actually, I think what I might do is I might build some little huts to take the place of those. Then I can deconstruct those, and then I'll just put one house. I mean, I know this is only temporary, but it does make things more efficient. I mean, one thing I've just noticed, actually, there's even a forester living here. So where do you work? Oh, okay, so that's a problem. So I must have forgot to upgrade that shack there. So it can only accommodate 3 people, but there's 4 people actually working in the area. So I must have forgot to upgrade it. And I think there was another new one I built. It was around here somewhere. That's 2, so they're all right. Okay, so I think I might just go around, have a look around, the area, and just to have a look to see, well, are we being efficient enough? Because I mean, I've got these mines going over here, and we've got potentially 6 people over here at any given time. So again, I mean, it might be better to have a little small house over there, as opposed to multiple shacks. But I think the focus is, I mean, I can't really do a great deal at the moment because we're kind of recovering. The population needs to recover. We're into the late fall. And if I get people coming across here, we're going to hit the winter. I know we're going to hit the winter and people will just die of hypothermia. So it's going to be one of those things. I'm just going to have a look around, put some foundations down where I want to make some changes. And then what I'll do is next season, we'll actually get started with building all of these. So that's it for this episode. I do hope you've enjoyed watching it. If so, then do please leave a like, because that'll help me out a great deal. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to see more content like this, then yeah, do please subscribe. Just remember to click the little bell icon though, because then you get notifications when I send new content out. And if you've got any comments, any suggestions, if you want to leave any feedback at all, please post that in the comment section below. Till the next episode, thanks very much for watching. Bye!